Today, we're going to talk about all of Luffy's incredible fights throughout the series, and we are going to go through this chronologically. We are also going to keep score on how many battles Luffy has won or lost. So let's get right into it with his first fight, and can you guess who it was against? It was actually against the mountain bandit Higuma. Although it wasn't much of a fight, Luffy wanted to stand up for his hero Shanks and went to confront the bandits. But he was, of course, easily defeated, being only a kid. However, we all know how the rest of this story played out, but still, Luffy gets his first defeat. Luffy then moved in with Dadan, where he met Ace, and later Sabo. It's said that Luffy fought his brothers 50 times each, and was defeated all 100 times in total, so he didn't win once. However, I won't be adding these defeats to the score as they were only training as kids. Having finally turned 17 years old, Luffy set sail from Fuchsia Village to embark on his journey to become the king of the pirates. But he didn't get far until he was face to face against the Sea King known as the Lord of the Coast, the same Sea King that Shanks saved him from years ago. This time, Luffy easily defeats it in one punch, using Gum Gum Pistol, showing everyone how much he has trained to master his Devil Fruit powers, earning him his first W. The next fight Luffy had was against Alvida, the captain of the Alvida Pirates, and the first real antagonist Luffy encounters on his journey. For us viewers, this fight was of course significant, as this was the first fight we saw with Luffy, and it introduced us to his Devil Fruit, the Gum Gum Fruit. In this quick skirmish, Luffy easily overpowers Alvida, showcasing his strength, and once again with one punch, Luffy sends Alvida flying and saves Koby in the process, adding another victory to the score. Shortly after, Luffy encounters the corrupt marine officer Captain Morgan when trying to free the pirate hunter Roronoa Zoro. While not the most challenging fight as Luffy easily overpowers Mr. Axe Hand, Zoro is the one who ultimately gets the final blow on Morgan, which means we can't add this victory to the score, as Luffy wasn't the one to knock him down. But it's a pivotal fight as it solidifies Luffy's resolve to stand against injustice, and it earned him his first crewmate, which marked the beginning of the Straw Hat Pirates. Before Luffy faces off against the captain of the Buggy Pirates, he has to fight Moji and his pet lion Richie. Although Moji was confident going into battle, Luffy easily slams Richie into the ground. Then he grabs Moji with his rubber arm and punches him into the ground as well, adding one more victory to his score as Moji and Richie counts as one. Next is Luffy's battle with Buggy, a fellow Devil Fruit user, who adds a comedic twist to this showdown. Buggy's Chop Chop Fruit allows him to split his body into pieces, giving Luffy his first taste of fighting another Devil Fruit user. And Buggy is the only one to ever damage Luffy's Straw Hat, which is insane. Despite Buggy's abilities, Luffy's creativity and sheer determination lead him to victory. The Straw Hat Pirates now reach Syrup Village, where the battle of Luffy versus Captain Kuro takes place. Kuro, the ruthless pirate, had disguised himself as a butler to take over Kaya's wealth, and after setting his plan in motion, Luffy and the crew stood in his way. Kuro, known for his speed and deadly cat claws attack, tries to outsmart Luffy with precision and cruelty. However, Luffy's determination overpowers Kuro's devious tactics, and after using Gum Gum Bell, the battle ends in a decisive victory that saves Kaya and the village, continuing Luffy's win streak. One of the toughest fights for Luffy in the East Blue Saga is against Don Krieg, a pirate with an arsenal of deadly weapons and underhanded tactics. However, Luffy's resilience and his ability to adapt under pressure shine through, defeating Don Krieg and cementing his status as a rising pirate. Defeating Don Krieg also earned Luffy another crew member, the incredible chef, Sanji. Arguably the most emotional fight in the East Blue Saga is Luffy's battle against Arlong, the tyrannical fishman who has been oppressing Nami's hometown. Luffy's anger peaks when he sees Nami suffering after she asks him for help. In a dramatic show of power, Luffy eventually defeats Arlong with his Gum Gum Battle Axe, destroying Arlong Park and freeing Nami from her chains, solidifying her as a beloved member of the crew. Reaching Logtown, Goldie Roger's birthplace and execution site, Luffy almost dies with a smile on his face. But after escaping death, he has to fight Smoker, the marine with a smoke-based Devil Fruit, who is relentless and determined to capture the Straw Hat Captain. After not being able to get a hit in because of Smoker's Logia-type Devil Fruit, Luffy is easily defeated. Although he manages to escape because of his father, we have to add a defeat to his score. The Straw Hat Pirates now leave the East Blue behind and travel to the Grand Line, where Luffy meets Laboon and Crocus. Here, Luffy faces off against the giant whale, but the fight ends quickly as Luffy calls it a draw, promising him to return one day to get a rematch, so we will actually add a draw to the score to show our love for Laboon. They then reach Whiskey Peak, where Luffy and Zoro face off in a heated battle due to a misunderstanding. Despite their loyalty to each other, their stubbornness prevents them from listening, leading to an all-out brawl. The fight is eventually interrupted by Nami, who knocks both of them out, meaning we have to add another category to the scoreboard, undecided, as the fight never truly ended between them as they got interrupted. In Little Garden, Luffy faces off against Mr. 3, a Baroque works agent with the power of the wax fruit, which allows him to create and manipulate wax. Mr. 3 traps Vivi, Zoro, and Nami in a massive wax structure, planning to turn them into wax statues. However, after an intense fight, Luffy manages to defeat Mr. 3 with his Gum Spear, destroying the wax prison and saving his friends. Taking their adventures to Drum Island, Luffy meets Wapol, the tyrannical king who is a gluttonous and cruel ruler with the power of the Munch fruit. After returning to Drum Island to reclaim his throne, Wapol encounters Luffy, who fights to protect his friend Chopper and the island's people. Luffy's straightforward determination contrasts sharply with Wapol's cowardice, and in a decisive moment, Luffy defeats Wapol by sending him flying with Gum Bazooka, ending his reign of terror. Finally, the crew reached Alabasta, where Luffy faced Crocodile 3 times. First at the Sandora Desert, where we see Crocodile's Sand fruit and his brutal power, as he easily defeats Luffy and leaves him to die, which he would have done if it wasn't for Nico Robin. The second battle takes place at the Alubarna Palace, where Luffy has figured out Crocodile's weakness to water, which makes it a much more challenging fight for the warlord. However, once again, Luffy is defeated and left to die. But Luffy's never-give-up attitude keeps him coming back, and in their final showdown in the Tombs of the Kings, Luffy pushes himself beyond his limits, defeating Crocodile and saving Alabasta. Next is Luffy's fight against Bellamy at Jaya. After Bellamy humiliates Luffy's friend Mont Blanc Cricket and steals his gold, Luffy goes to take revenge. With a single, powerful punch, Luffy knocks out Bellamy, demonstrating his true power and conviction. They then reach the Sky Island Skypiea, where he faces off against the self-proclaimed god, Enel. Enel's Rumble fruit gives him control over lightning, making him seem invincible. However, Luffy's rubber body gives him the perfect plot armor against Enel's powers. The battle culminates in Luffy delivering a massive punch to Enel by using Gum Golden Rifle, ringing the Golden Bell, and fulfilling a centuries-old prophecy. Luffy's next fight was against Foxy, which is a comedic yet action-packed showdown. Foxy, the cunning captain of the Foxy Pirates, challenges Luffy to put his crew on the line in a duel between the two captains. Despite Foxy's dirty tricks and sneaky tactics while using his slow fruit, Afro Luffy's creativity, determination, and adaptability help him overcome Foxy's powers in this entertaining battle. Not long after fighting Foxy, Luffy has to fight Aokiji, who is friendly towards the Straw Hat Pirates at first, even though he is an admiral. But Aokiji turns his attention to Robin and turns her into ice as he is determined to capture her. Luffy then insists on fighting Aokiji alone and risks it all so the crew can save the frozen Robin. Although he easily freezes Luffy as well and wins this battle convincingly, but ultimately he spares Luffy's life. In one of the most emotional moments in the series, Luffy has to fight one of his crew members, and this time it's against the crew's sniper, Usopp. After a heated argument with Luffy over the fate of the Going Merry, Usopp challenges Luffy in order to decide who keeps the ship. Though he is injured, Usopp fights harder than he has ever fought before, and truly showed his incredible battle IQ. But even after taking a harsh beating, Luffy defeats Usopp to end this heartbreaking battle. Later, after Luffy and his crewmates destroyed the Franky house in order to take revenge for Usopp's beating, Franky the cyborg wants to fight the Straw Hat captain in return. This leads to the two facing off against each other in the City of Water 7. However, this fight was disappointingly brief, as they were interrupted by the members of the Galley Law Company, adding another score to the undecided category. Luffy and the crew's next battle is then against Rob Lucci and the CP9 at Water 7, as they have been discovered to be undercover agents. In an effort to save Iceberg and take back Nico Robin, Luffy charges Rob Lucci, who reveals his Devil Fruit powers combined with his Rokushiki, which is way too much for Luffy, and sends him flying over the city. After taking this humiliating loss, Luffy and the crew go to war against the world government and the CP9 at Enies Lobby to rescue Nico Robin. Here, Luffy debuts his Gear's second technique against Blueno, which takes Blueno down easily, and this fight is notable because it shows Luffy beginning to push the boundaries of his Devil Fruit powers, enhancing his speed and strength. Then we reach one of the most intense battles in the series, Luffy's fight against Rob Lucci, the strongest member of CP9. Lucci's mastery of the Zone-type Cat fruit model Leopard gives him incredible strength and speed. This fight pushes Luffy to his limits, and he unveils Gear 3rd, which makes him inflate his arm and fist to deliver a massive blow, The battle is grueling and showcases Luffy's unwavering resolve to save Robin, with Luffy narrowly coming out as the victor. Returning to Water 7 after saving Robin, Luffy faces off against an old friend, Koby, who has had one of the most insane glow-ups in anime. Although Koby gets a hit in on Luffy and shows his Rokushiki, Luffy easily defeats him. After setting sail, the crew reach Thriller Bark, where Luffy encounters the warlord Gecko Moria, who has the power to steal shadows. But before he can face off against the captain of the Thriller Bark pirates, he has to fight zombie Oars. To be able to fight this monster, Luffy temporarily absorbs hundreds of shadows to enter Nightmare Luffy mode, overpowering Oars in a show of raw power. He then turns his attention to Moria, where the warlord replied in kind by using his Shadow Asgard technique, which made him huge. Luffy then used this to his advantage as Moria had become a bigger target and the warlord was finally defeated. The crew now reach Sabaody Archipelago, where we see one of the most iconic moments in the series, as we have to mention Luffy's KO on St. Charlos, which highlights Luffy's unwavering commitment to his values and his readiness to confront the world's injustices, adding another beautiful W to his tally. However, because of this, Admiral Kizaru, along with the Marines and pacifistas, show up to Sabaody. And soon after Kizaru, the warlord Bartholomew Kuma showed up. Trying to save his crew, Luffy doesn't stand a chance against the warlord, who, as we all know, did everything to save the crew, although Luffy and the others, of course, didn't know this at the time. But still, I feel like we should add another loss to the scoreboard because of this. Having been sent to the island of Amazon Lily by Kuma, Luffy faces off against Boa Hancock's younger sisters, Boa Sandersonia and Boa Marigold. Despite their formidable strength and abilities, Luffy's rubber body and relentless spirit allow him to withstand their assaults. When Marigold unleashes a fire technique, Luffy dodges and it burns Sandersonia's clothes. Luffy then quickly covers her mark and appears to be their lifesaver and says that their backs have nothing to do with their fight. Boa Hancock then evacuates everyone in the arena and of course falls deeply in love with Luffy. So this is a tricky one, but I think we have to add one more to undecided as the fight didn't truly get a victor. However, he did win Hancock's heart, and that is the greatest victory ever in my opinion. But we won't add that to the score. Luffy's journey then takes a dark turn as he infiltrates Impel Down to rescue his brother Ace. Here, he has to face off against Magellan, the warden of Impel Down. In this battle, Luffy doesn't stand a chance, as Magellan's Poison Devil Fruit powers are way too powerful. This fight is significant because, for the first time, Luffy cannot win through sheer force. And if it wasn't for everyone's favorite Bon Clay, and of course Ivankov, then Luffy's journey would have ended painfully in a cell at Impel Down. So we have to add a strong L to the scoreboard. In a last-ditch effort to stop everyone from escaping the prison, the Vice Warden Hannibal faces off against the Straw Hat Captain. Although he's stronger than we all initially thought, Luffy's second gear is way too powerful for the Vice Warden, and Luffy adds another victory. Another person who went to Impel Down was Blackbeard, and when Luffy finds out that Blackbeard is the reason Ace is set to be executed, he is furious and attacks him. Before a real fight can break out, Jinbe stops Luffy as they need to continue their escape from the prison, so we have to add another score to undecided. But please, comment who you think would have won this battle at Impel Down. The Marineford War is less about individual fights and more about survival and perseverance. When Luffy charges through the battlefield, he clashes with formidable foes like Mihawk, the Admirals, and even his grandfather Garp. But as they don't have a real true fight in my opinion, I won't add these battles. However, I think there are two battles that have to count. The first one is against Smoker, as Smoker once again easily defeats Luffy, but also once again he gets saved, this time by Boa Hancock. So let's add a loss to his tally. The other fight which we saw a winner in was against Koby, as Koby got knocked out in one hit by Luffy when running through the battlefield, and he had full intentions to stop him, so I think we have to add another victory to Luffy. After a 2-year time skip, Luffy and his crew reunite at Sabaody Archipelago, stronger than ever. So in a display of how much he has grown, Luffy effortlessly defeats a pacifista that once nearly killed him, showcasing the results of his intense training with Silver's Rayleigh. Upon reaching Fishman Island, Luffy first faces off against Vanderdecken, who is trying his best to persuade Shirahoshi to marry him, although he isn't Shirahoshi's type. So Vanderdecken wants to kill them both, but Luffy slams him into the ground and wins this brief battle. He then has to face off against the tyrant Hody Jones. Although Hody uses powerful energy steroids to enhance his strength, Luffy's haki and new techniques prove too much for him. Although the battle took to the seas thanks to Vanderdecken's interference, Luffy was way stronger and won this battle. On Punk Hazard, Luffy encounters Caesar Clown, a mad scientist with the power of the gas fruit. Caesar's ability to manipulate and create gas makes him a tricky opponent. Luffy initially underestimates him and therefore loses the first battle as Caesar could manipulate the air, making Luffy unable to breathe and ultimately collapsing. When Luffy clashes with Caesar for the second time, Monet steps in to take down the Straw Hat Captain. Although the fight seems to go in Monet's way, it ultimately ends up in the category undecided as Luffy uses a Gum Spear to break the floor and falls down into the garbage dump. When Luffy then clashes with Caesar for the final time, he has adapted to Caesar's cunningness, so he defeats the mad scientist using his armament Haki and his Gum Grizzly Magnum, shooting him out of the lab. Luffy and the Straw Hats then travel to Dressrosa together with Trafalgar Law, and Luffy's first real fight here is against Hadrudin, the giant warrior from Elbaf at the Kurita Coliseum tournament. Although Hadrudin is a powerful character, Luffy easily takes him down by punching him in the face. He then has to face another powerful foe in the Kurita Coliseum, Don Chinjiao, a former pirate with a deep grudge against Luffy's grandfather Garp, who is a powerful fighter with a uniquely sharp, drill-shaped head that was once used to split entire continents. In this battle, Chinjiao, furious at Luffy due to Garp's past actions, clashes with him in a heated duel. Luffy showcases his armament Haki and his Conqueror's Haki, ultimately reshaping Chinjiao's head with a powerful punch. Before Luffy's iconic battle with Doflamingo, he fights an old enemy who has become somewhat of a friend, Bellamy. Even after Doflamingo told Bellamy just how little he thought of him and forced him to fight Luffy, he did not let go of his loyalty, choosing to attack Luffy even after Doflamingo's Devil Fruit control was lifted. Luffy, not wanting to hurt him any further, ultimately has to take him down, which he does in one punch. A throwback to how he took him down once before. He then faces off against Doflamingo, a ruthless warlord whose manipulation of Dressrosa and sadistic nature make him one of Luffy's most hated enemies. This battle is long and grueling, showcasing Luffy's growth in his Gear 4th transformation, Bounceman. With enhanced speed, strength, and elasticity, Gear 4th overwhelms Doflamingo's defense. However, Doflamingo's resilience and awakening push Luffy to his limits, but in the end, with the help of his allies and citizens of Dressrosa, Luffy lands a decisive blow with King Kong Gun, shattering Doflamingo's reign and liberating the island. After Dressrosa, the Straw Hats venture to Zoo and later Whole Cake Island, where they face the powerful Big Mom pirates in an effort to make Sanji rejoin the crew. Here, Luffy's first major challenge is against Charlotte Cracker, one of Big Mom's top commanders. Cracker's Biscuit Fruit allows him to create and manipulate Biscuit Soldiers, which prove difficult for Luffy due to their endless regeneration and hard defense. After a prolonged battle that tests Luffy's endurance and strategy, he discovers that by eating the biscuits, he can bypass Cracker's defense. Utilizing Gear 4th Tank Man, and a bloated Luffy finally defeats Cracker with an explosive counterattack, adding another victory against a very powerful enemy. Shortly after, Luffy has to fight his old crew member Sanji. The fight between Luffy and Sanji is one of the most emotionally charged moments in the series. After Sanji is forced into a political marriage by the Vinsmoke family and Big Mom, he reluctantly attacks Luffy to sever ties with the Straw Hats. Despite being beaten down, Luffy refuses to fight back, knowing Sanji's true feelings. But having to play his part in the wedding, Sanji lands a devastating blow to Luffy, which almost knocks him out completely, but Luffy is still standing strong. So I will be adding this fight to undecided as it would be unfair for Luffy to get a loss here, in my opinion. One of Luffy's most difficult fights ever was against Katakuri, Big Mom's most powerful sweet commander, and is one of the most defining moments in his journey. Katakuri, with his Mochi Fruit and advanced observation Haki, initially overwhelms Luffy, predicting his moves and dominating the fight. This battle is less about brute force and more about learning and adaptation. Luffy steadily improves his observation Haki, learning to predict Katakuri's attacks. It's a battle of willpower and respect culminating in a climactic final clash where both fighters push beyond their limits. And Luffy's determination and growth won Katakuri's respect. So although Luffy almost died multiple times, he ultimately won this epic clash. Luffy and the crew then travel to Wano, where their journey reaches new heights. Here, Luffy's first fight is against Basil Hawkins and the Beast Pirates. However, this fight lands under undecided as Luffy and Zoro escape with Tsuru. His next fight in Wano was against Urashima after Luffy challenged him to a sumo match. However, this fight was brief as the sumo wrestler was no match for the pirate. Very shortly after, Luffy finally sees Tama once again after she had been captured by the Beast Pirates. Seeing that Hold'em had hurt Tama, he quickly rescues her from Kamajiro's jaws and lands a devastating Red Hawk, right in Hold'em's face. He then faces off against a drunk Kaido, the Emperor known as one of the strongest pirates ever. Although they have multiple fights in the Wano arc, his first battle against Kaido ends in a crushing defeat. Kaido's overwhelming strength and durability show Luffy just how much he still has to grow. Kaido's Thunder Bagua knocks Luffy out in one hit and almost kills him, but he survives and is taken to the Udon prison. Although he does have fights at Udon, I won't be counting these. Not only were they in a sumo ring, Luffy also had an explosive collar on him, and he had to think about Hyogoro all the time as well. However, he did win all of these small battles. Now we reach the epic raid on Onigashima, where Luffy confronts Kaido once again, this time alongside Law and Kid. This battle is intense and chaotic, with Luffy using his advanced armament and Conqueror's Haki to deal significant damage. However, Kaido's resilience and power keep him a step ahead. Despite the fierce struggle, Luffy is defeated once again and falls off Onigashima, highlighting the insurmountable challenge Kaido represents. However, in their final showdown, Luffy rises with newfound strength. Having awakened his devil fruit Hito Hito no Mi model Nika, Luffy uses Gear 5. He transforms the battlefield into a cartoonish, surreal realm where his imagination runs wild. This transformation symbolizes his ultimate freedom, pushing the boundaries of what was thought possible. In a dramatic and surreal climax, Luffy defeats Kaido with a colossal punch that sends the Emperor crashing into the depths of Wano, ending his tyrannical rule. Taking their adventures to Egghead Island, where Luffy once again clashed with Rob Lucci. Lucci, now a member of CP0 and even more powerful with his awakened Leopard Zone form, confronts Luffy, who has mastered his Gear 5 abilities. Their battle showcases immense power, speed, and skill. Despite Lucci's strength and newfound abilities, Luffy dominates the battle, demonstrating just how far he's come since their first encounter, solidifying his position as one of the world's top fighters. Luffy continued to battle fiercely throughout the entirety of Egghead Island, facing off against the Seraphims, but not long thereafter he engaged Admiral Kizaru in battle. As soon as Kizaru arrived on Egghead, Luffy took it upon himself to stop him, and he did so in his transformed Gear 5 state. Kizaru quickly acknowledged Luffy's immense power and knew that in a clear fight, the Admiral would not be able to win, and that is why he targeted Vegapunk directly, avoiding an engagement with Luffy in combat. Despite all his efforts, Kizaru ended up failing in the task and was taken down by Luffy using a powerful technique called White Star Gun. After regaining his strength from his battle with Kizaru, Luffy faced off against one of the 5 elders, Saint Jaeger-Sia Saturn, and Kizaru also joined the battle. Although he was outnumbered, Luffy turned into a giant using Gear 5 and grabbed Saturn's head with his left hand and completely squishing Kizaru in his right. Luffy then also struck Saturn with multiple powerful blows, causing him to be launched through a building. However, this fight didn't see a true winner, as in the end, Luffy and his allies escaped from Egghead Island. And there you have it, all of Luffy's battles in One Piece. At this moment, Luffy has 37 wins, 12 defeats, 1 draw with Laboon, and 8 battles undecided. So which fight was your favorite, and what fight are you most looking forward to in the future of One Piece? Comment down below, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell for more One Piece content. Thank you for watching, and I strongly suggest you watch this video next. See ya!